Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to schedule jobs in 360E, and I'm going to show you a couple of different scenarios on how that works, whether you're scheduling them, if you're the same person scheduling and selling, whether you're a dispatcher and coming in and looking at a lot of jobs all at once. We'll show you a couple of different ways of getting into the system and getting jobs scheduled. So the first thing I want to do is revisit some of the things that we've covered in the Getting Started. If you remember, your application settings button here contains a lot of the presets that will spill forward. So specifically, there is a link here for scheduling and tracking. You can set your default work days. You can set colors for color coding. And you can also do some of the default presets are contained in that link there. So that said, let's go back into our jobs list and let's go ahead and start scheduling. So I've selected a job here and saved a job to schedule. This is something that has just been sold. It's a new job, as you can see. And so I'm going to go into the details. Now in this scenario, this is kind of a more linear scenario in which you may have like the sale, you're a smaller company, or you're doing the selling, you're setting up the jobs and scheduling. So in this way, you're going to be already inside a particular jobs folder, and you're going to want to take it right from there to scheduling. So that being the case, I would select my Job Info tab, which organizes most of the actions that get executed against the job, and I'm going to go to Schedule, the blue link there. Now notice I'm still in my job folder, still within this job here. It's showing me first that I do have something already scheduled for that job. I'm going to go here and add schedule. And as you can see, I actually already have somebody scheduled for this job, and it's showing me that you had scheduled 2 hours and this job's already covered. So let's say in this case that I want to delete this schedule and change the schedule. All I have to do is click it and delete it. Now I'm starting from scratch. I'm still in my job folder. I'm going to go in here and click on where I want this. I'm going to take this user or this worker. I'm going to go to Friday the 20th. Click on that. Schedule 2 hours from 8 to 10 a.m. or any other time of day that I can see is open. So your left side is kind of your visual scheduling board. Your right side, I'll show you later, is the list of available jobs to schedule. I'm going to schedule this worker for 2 hours. He's going to be working on this job item. I don't have any comments for this particular one yet, but I'm going to go ahead and save this for this date, the 20th. And you'll see now that shows up here appropriately on the 20th. If I need to change the schedule on this, all I have to do is click on that bubble. It'll open up the dialog box, and now I can move that schedule to anywhere else that I want to. Okay, so I've now scheduled one worker for 2 hours for that job. 2 of the 2 hours are selected and scheduled. So that's the first way that I would go in and create a schedule. The second way I'm going to go in, let's delete this. I'll take that off my schedule here. And let's go into a different scheduling scenario. Now in this one, let's say that I have a dispatcher or somebody that's focused pretty much on scheduling. So someone is putting the jobs into the system. My dispatcher comes into work and wants to see scheduling information, but more in reference to a lot of different jobs instead of just one job at a time. So in this case, I'm opening up the whole activity board for that day. Now in this case, notice there's some new functionality on here when I go through the schedule section, and I have a link over here that says unscheduled. So this is a good handoff process because anything that's been put into the system now, your dispatcher doesn't have to ask around or send out emails and say, what do I have to schedule or what new has come in? All I have to do is hit the unscheduled link here. So I'm going to go to this job. It's telling me what has to be scheduled, and I'm going to select this job here. I'm going to select the calendar grid. You'll see the process is the same. It's just a little bit different route to get you into this part of the schedule. I'm going to select 8 to 10 on whatever day that I decide that I want to. with my date picker and time selectors. I'm going to assign this worker, and I'm going to save that. Now, as you can see, that job has now been scheduled. Same basic process, two different paths. The other thing that's nice is I can have all my list of jobs here, and now I can mark this one as using this little check icon that you see. Remember, the grid is for scheduling, the check is for status update. So here I'm going to say that scheduling is complete. Now that job will no longer appear on my unscheduled tab. So your dispatcher can keep track of what work has to be scheduled, what work is not scheduled. Remember that I can go in and simply click on the white space too. I don't have to select a job. I can just click anywhere. It will open up my scheduling box and allow me a lot of different paths for scheduling. Okay. Now, as I schedule things, they will thus show up on my worker's schedule, and that's what we're going to look at in the next video. Real quick, first I want to remind you that you can zoom in and out of your schedule by looking at the day, the week, or the month. A lot of times if you just come to the schedule section, you will see that the jobs are not really displaying. It's going to ask you what jobs you want to look at. So most of the time, you're going to say, show me all of the unscheduled work. You can also look at all jobs, but if you're keeping track of what has to be scheduled, that's where it happens here. Remember to look at the videos that cover getting started, where we talk about some of the preliminary steps to setting up schedule parameters, because the information that you put in through here under this link is all going to spill forward and help you populate your schedule. Specifically, the color coding that we have here, you can designate colors to set up your own type of color coding. And then, of course, as you start to schedule, you'll fill your schedule out using the visual scheduling space here and selecting unscheduled work on the right. Okay, that's a get started. We're going to continue with some other stuff and get more into detail about scheduling and tracking in the next video. Thanks for listening.